Boom. We're live, supposedly. You want to check that for me there, big guy? I guess I can do it, I guess.
Yeah, you're live.
Oh, I'm live. We're good. I'm old, but I'm not completely incompetent, although I did need the
What?
Okay. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, let's just...
Yeah, nice spam. All right, I don't want to waste your guys' time, and I'm sure that you would appreciate that. So we're going to dive right in, and people can join when they join, and this will be able to be watched back anyway. I am going to talk about the police going into Chelsea Manning's home. Why they did it, I'm going to go through a news, and I emphasize air quotes, largely a news coverage of the situation. I'll explain to you some other objective facts. I'm going to talk about well-being checks, wellness checks in general, because that's what led up to the police going into Chelsea Manning's home. Now, if you're like, who is Chelsea Manning? Chelsea Manning is a she that used to be a he, and when she was a he, Z, were in the military. She did like 7 or 10 years or something like that in a military prison for releasing secrets, military information, and then her sentence was commuted in 2017. I think that's part of the story. And she, during that time, had tried to commit suicide before. So this is not a new thing for Chelsea. This is just a police thing involving Chelsea. And I saw this news story when I was contacted by Gavin McInnes. If you guys don't know who Gavin is, he has a show called Get Off My Lawn on CRTV. He's a very good thinker, funny dude, good guy. And anyway, he brought this to my attention, and I talked about it on his show this morning, and I said, I'm going to go live on my channel. I've got to cover this. So, here we go. So the first thing is, what I want to explain is well-being checks in general. Here's how this whole thing started, all right? Chelsea Manning ended up being out of the country, but posted a picture of herself standing on the edge of what I would presume to be her apartment. Somebody thought it was possibly her apartment. I don't know where it's at. Let me pull up the tweet for you. I'm not sure how well you guys can be able to see it. She's standing on the edge of a building, and you see a couple cars down there, and the tweet just simply says, "I'm sorry." So anyone with common sense is going to look at that tweet. If you know Chelsea and you know that they have tried to commit suicide multiple times, I keep saying I don't know what her preferred pronoun is. So his, zers. Whatever person knows the history of attempted suicides in the past would see that, would think it's real. Right? That's to be a common sense approach. So that tweet goes out, and we see what ensues. But essentially, the police are called for a well-being check because someone is concerned about Chelsea. So it's very, very important, before we dive into this, very, very important that the cops don't roam around looking for suicidal subjects to go into their homes. That's not the typical day. That's not what they're going out to do. There's no interview process where they're like, well, how many suicidal people do you want to get into their homes and find out if they mean it? I would like to do 7 a day, sir. You're hired. That's not even a thing, okay? But I digress. This, I'm trying to check the comments. Oh, random is gone. Won't let me ban. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going on. Don't know what to tell you. Hopefully he's gone. Whoever's causing the police. I don't even see random's tweets. Or tweets. Chelsea. I don't even see them coming across on my chat. So I can't do anything about it because I don't see them. I don't know why. So, whatever. Okay. let's check the video. But the point is, it's very important for anyone to understand, and I'll answer some questions later on about well-being checks or suicidal persons and the importance of this, but we have to understand that the police didn't go decide, like they're not walking down the street, they just left the donut shop and they're like, hey, you want to go to Chelsea Manning's house and see if we can get a key and go inside? That's not happening. So these morons, the news story is from The Intercept and or AJ Plus, okay? Both of these sites purport themselves to be news of some kind. Now, when I think the news, I think the sky's blue outside and I go on the air or I go online and say the sky is currently blue. That's the news. This is a fact. This is what it is. I'm going to type it out. I'm going to say it. This attack happened here. I'm going to explain it. This event happened here. I'm going to explain it. I give the information because information is important, and accuracy and truthfulness in reporting is critical to the value of the First Amendment. I digress. Let's check out the video, and I will pause and go through this and kind of explain my take on this. Part of it's cut off, so we'll just get to it. These police are performing a quote-unquote wellness check, okay, after learning a resident may be suicidal. First of all, I need to point out, you guys need to notice the shorts. How cool is that? This guy is just sporting some shorts. Looking good. Looking good. He must use Nair. Looks to me that there's 4 officers. They enter with guns drawn. Okay. Now, they don't point out the fact that the cops are knocking. Okay, I want you to pay attention to that, though. Let's go back. So, yeah, they enter with guns drawn. What were they doing? Oh, look at that. That's interesting. They're knocking. They're knocking. That's the first thing they're doing. Okay? In this case, the home belongs to Chelsea Manning. Yeah, she has security cameras, so they come in.
We don't know how it could have turned out had Chelsea been home, but they definitely had 4 cops coming in with their guns out, pointing them.
This reporter, we don't know how it would have turned out. Exactly. So then why, reporter, are you slanting this in an anti-cop rhetoric? Why are you casting doubt on the function of the police in this situation? Why are you doing that? If you don't know, why are you speculating? Well, what we do know is that there was 4 police officers. First of all, the number of police officers is irrelevant. There could be 8,000 police officers there. What does that matter? It's actually irrelevant. What if there was 1? What if there was 2? What if there's 2.5? What if there's a legless police officer there? Like, I don't know. Why is this relevant to the situation? It's not. That's like sometimes people get pulled over and other cops pull up to back them up, or they show up there because, well, that's what they're doing. They get dispatched to the calls, or they're like, oh, I'll go help him out. I'll go help him. I'll go help her out on this call. And so the number of officers is irrelevant. It's kind of pointless. But he doesn't know that. So he's talking out of his rear end because he doesn't understand what a wellness check is, what a well-being check is, what it's for, and what the law is surrounding it clearly, or why they would have their guns drawn. He says it's inappropriate, but he doesn't know why.
And that isn't an appropriate thing to do to someone who is suicidal.
Police were alerted after Chelsea posted tweets that appeared suicidal. Now notice, they don't even show the tweet. They just go to Twitter and like scroll Chelsea's feed. They don't talk about the actual tweet. This is typical news. It seems like. Just scroll past the Twitter. She posted tweets that appeared suicidal. Now I showed you the tweet. They didn't show you the tweet. I did. Because common sense would look at that and go, "Oh, she's got problems. That chick might kill herself." So I don't know what maybe she was watching President Trump go to Singapore and talk to Kim Jong-un, and it set her off, and she was going to end it all because she couldn't take it anymore. I don't know what motivated it. All I know is that They're not showing the tweet. They want to show the cops going into the house. They don't want to show the tweet that she posted. Why is that? You ever ask yourself that question? I am, because this is biased reporting. But you can get the facts here. I'll give it to you unbiased. I'll give you the facts. I'll answer your questions. This guy says we don't know how it would have turned out. Well, okay, yeah, you're right, you don't. I can tell you about it, though. So, someone also reported it. This is another thing. Who reported it? Who reported it? The police ended up there somehow. So somebody else cared enough about Chelsea to want to report it and get the authorities involved. Again, the police didn't call themselves to Chelsea's house. The police weren't scrolling Twitter and say, hey, look, we should go check on Chelsea now. Didn't happen. Someone else called them to go there. They were being asked to be there. So once you ask an agency to come do something, you lose credibility when you question why they're there. Like, bro. At the time, she was out of the country. I already mentioned that.
They managed to get a copy of the key to her build-in.
Her building, yeah. Building. Yeah, they asked management for a key. I'll explain how they get keys for this and when they can go in later, but I'll tell you this right now before I get to questions and explaining more about wellness checks. They had the legal right to go in the house or the apartment or whatever it is, the residence.
Then they tried to track her phone to figure out where she was.
Okay. Again, someone asked the police to use their services, if possible, to help find Chelsea and make sure she's okay. So now The Intercept appears to hate the fact that the police did their job. So people want the police to help, but then you want to complain that the police helped. Okay, makes sense. Broke the story. Ooh.
Her quote was, "This is what a police state looks like. Guns drawn during a wellness check."
Yes, guns drawn during a wellness check. Why? Because wellness checks can be one of the most dangerous calls an officer can go on because of the unknown factors. And you're going into an unknown area where someone who's already planning possibly to harm themselves, and when people want to harm themselves, they are often willing to harm others to accomplish it. That's just a sad reality. It's something called suicide by cop. Happens, once is too many, but a lot of times people's encounter with the police, they want it to be negative so that they can take a certain way out. So now they're going to tell us about Chelsea. Yeah, she leaked military documents. She spent 7 years in prison. She looks different back then. She will not get my vote.
The fact that, this is happening to Chelsea Manning will hopefully bring a lot of light.
See, I reject the way that he's... I reject the way that he's phrasing this. This, again, is like, I want you to pay attention to this. You sneaky little bastard. You reporter. I want you to pay attention to what they're doing, because this is a common tactic. Like, hopefully, what is happening to Chelsea. No one did anything to Chelsea. Nobody did anything to her. You posted a tweet saying you were going to hurt yourself, essentially, or significantly implying it in such a way that people who knew you were concerned and alerted the police. Huh. And what happened? Thank you for the super chat, Tails. I appreciate that. So this is such shoddy news. Bring a lot of light to what? The fact that people call the police for nonsense? Well, yeah, please stop doing that. We'll be happier.
To this issue for all of the other people that this is going on with right now.
All of the other people. I'd have to look at these reports. They're saying up to half the people killed by the police. Hey, they're being nice, though, and they're turning out the lights. Look at. Turning it off. Leaving it the way they came. So they're supposedly coming up with... They're mixing two different sources, I don't remember the first one, Ruderman Foundation and the ACLU, to basically assert that 64 people have been killed this year by the police with mental disabilities. Who gets to decide what a mental disability is? I don't know. Some people count ADD as a disability, like a mental disability, and so whatever. This is what it is. I'm going to pull up my notes and make sure that I don't miss anything that I wanted to bring up. That's the raw commentary on the video. So I'm just going to walk back through this, and I'll talk about well-being checks and that kind of stuff. The wellness check or well-being check happens when someone is concerned for a friend or a loved one. It can be like this. Hey, I haven't seen... It could be a neighbor, for example, saying, I haven't seen Joe, my neighbor. He's been having some medical issues recently. Mail's piling up on the front porch. And I haven't seen him outside walking his dog like he does every morning at 7. Thank you very much, Jared. Appreciate the super chat. I haven't seen that. So then the police show up and they're like, okay, well, they're going to knock on Joe's door. They might try to see if there's a phone number for Joe. Maybe you look in the windows and you see Joe's feet in a room. Well, guess what has to happen? The police officers go through a window, go through a door, break it down, do whatever they could do, pick the locks. I've seen that happen if there's lock pickers available, to go inside and help Joe. Okay? That's one form of a well-being check, a wellness check. Another form is when someone is concerned for someone's mental health stability that could turn violent. I think that they want to hurt themselves. I think that they want to hurt somebody else. But it is, very common. How do I ban this guy? Hide user on this channel. Okay. There we go. I don't know. It won't give me the option to ban him. I wish. You can email YouTube and ask them why ban isn't an option during our chat, because we can't do it. Hey guys, I have mods, Aaron. My mod is trying and it doesn't exist. All right. So, thank you. Appreciate it, Nexvic. And underpaid producer is on it, guys. He'll try to ban him if he can. So our YouTube channel is clearly having an issue because the option that is normally there is not appearing for us. Okay. Now, so someone calls and says so-and-so is they might hurt themselves. So now, the police have a responsibility to safeguard lives and property. Okay? That's their job, is to keep people's lives and property safe. That includes people from harming themselves. I mean, you could have an opinion that says if people want to kill themselves, let them do it. Problem is, when people kill themselves, let's say that they run into traffic, well, that affects somebody else, doesn't it? It affects all of us. Our insurance rates go up. Somebody jumps off a bridge. Guess who's got to clean it up? Right? Somebody shoots themselves. Who cleans that up? There's other people that it affects. It is a public safety issue when people take their own lives. Yes, that's their decision. Freedom. You could have this opinion that like people should be able to Dr. Kevorkian themselves and do whatever. That's irrelevant. I'm not even getting into the philosophy or the idea about whether or not suicide is good or bad. I think it's bad. I've made videos extending hopefully hope to people and use Humanizing the Badge to reach out, especially if you're first responder. We care. We're there to try to do what we can. We're not a perfect solution, but we're trying. Now, but at the end of the day, suicide is a public safety issue. Now, the way that it works is police they can't just go into anyone's house that they want, right? Just because someone calls and says, hey, so-and-so's suicidal, they're not going to just walk into your house, okay? They have to take in the totality of the circumstances and determine, does this meet in the totality of the circumstances a circumstance in which we can justify a warrantless entry into a home under the emergency exception rule to the search warrant. There's exceptions to the rules of search warrants. Emergency is one of them. is this person's life or the life of someone else in immediate danger? If all of the information, and this reporter from The Intercept doesn't give you any of that information at all. He just says this isn't appropriate, but offers no reasoning, no explanation, and I'm telling you it's completely appropriate if, in looking at the totality of the circumstances, they thought we need to go in there to make sure she's okay, that anybody else is okay, and to get her the help that she needs. That is a law enforcement function. Now listen, if people don't like that, the law can always be changed, right? You could hire psychology patrol, right? Psychiatry patrol. Put them in a car, give them some lights, and when people feel depressed and suicidal or homicidal, they can drive there and they can maybe have like a portable inflatable couch. They can use Xanax pepperball guns and maybe hit them with some Xanax to calm them down, right? And then talk their way, give them some hugs, a few stickers for the fridge, a few positive sayings or mantras, and they can handle all those calls. Believe me, if the cops got the news today that they didn't have to go on potential suicide calls anymore, you'd get a lot of 2 thumbs up. Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate it. We don't want to go to those calls. I don't know how loud I'm getting. You think we want to see death? You think we want to deal with that all the time? Come on. No. But according to The Interceptor or AJ Plus, the cops are doing this to people. Chelsea Manning is an example. If this is happening to her, who else is it happening to? Fear-mongering, slanting, bias information against the law enforcement community for no reason other than to further your agenda. It has nothing to do with truly helping Chelsea. Otherwise, you'd show that tweet and you'd explain why suicide is a problem in this country and why we need to address it. And maybe, thank you very much for whoever just did the super chat. It passed up. Maybe we do have a mental health issue in the country, so let's address that. But it's not the police officer's fault that right now the way that it works is if someone is suicidal, they go. Thank you very much, Balls to the Walls. I love saying your name. It's awesome. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Jaron. The point is, that's the way it works. That's the essence of a wellness check and how it works. Now, it's also important to, so let's talk about the issue of the guns being drawn. How long have I been going? I really don't want to, okay, 22 minutes, I'm good. I don't want to go much past 30, 35 minutes, so I just want to, because I don't want to waste your guys' time. I want to deliver good information and not waste it. Why did they have their guns drawn? Okay, I'm gonna cover another video. Thank you, Astro Haterade. I'm going to cover another video soon about a naked, unarmed man that ended up getting shot by the police. People just think because someone is unarmed that they're not dangerous. There was a call in Hazel Park. Officer Jessica Nagel was shot and killed when someone, I believe it was a barking dog call, and they just were luring the police in, and then he shot her and killed her. Recently, in Detroit, last year, there was an officer that was shot in the face, neck, with a shotgun through the door when he was on the house of a porch, checking on a burglary call by the homeowner. A department that I used to work for had lost an officer who got into a tussle with someone at a door. There's a lot of circumstances in which it's dangerous for law enforcement officers, especially going into a location where someone has already demonstrated that they're not mentally stable. It's a dangerous, dangerous situation. Now, is it likely that there's going to be a problem? No, it's not. But again, I used this example this morning with Gavin. Put yourself on a football field, right? Let's imagine we're all at a football field and we're at one end zone, and the other end zone represents getting to safety. And the only way to get there is to walk across the field. And I tell you, don't worry, there's only one landmine in the whole field. There's only one landmine. If you step on it, it's going to kill you or maim you really badly. It's going to hurt. But if you want to get over there, you got to walk through. But there's only one. There's a million places you could step on the field. Are you going to be nervous? Are you going to be cautious about how you approach walking across the field? Are you going to be trying to look and see maybe where the ground looks different? I'm just trying to get you guys to think in the mindset of you always, as a police officer, have to be prepared for what could be and try to carry yourself in a way that is as kind and respectful as possible while being protective of yourself, your partners, and other people. There's not a lot of, I don't think, maybe a better way to say that, okay? So when you go through the door, notice when they did that, they didn't all have their guns drawn. One of them had a taser out. So you kind of decide, okay, we're going to go in, and someone will use taser, some will use the firearm in case things get crazy. We're ready. But notice they didn't keep carrying their guns. When they were leaving, they weren't pointing their guns out the hallway like, well, maybe we'll have someone out here. Who else can we maybe go try to kill and harass? It's not what they were doing. The guns go away as soon as they realize, okay, we're safe. There's no threat here. Okay? Even if they would have encountered Chelsea, I can promise you because I've done this job for 9 years. If you walked in with your gun and then you clear the house and you see Chelsea sitting on the couch, like drinking wine or eating popcorn or whatever it is that Chelsea does, reading Transgender Quarterly magazine or whatever they have, I don't know, whatever she's doing, if she's not a threat, the gun's going away. There's not an issue. But I think that the problem is people are blaming the police automatically, and no one in this reporting, this news report, is putting the actual responsibility for causing this whole chain of events on Chelsea Manning. That's a problem. All right. I've said my piece. Okay, I'm going to bring up the chat. And I'm going to look at the super chats real quick to make sure that there weren't any questions, because obviously you guys get first preference on questions. Appreciated all the guys. Donald, Carter, he super chatted. I'm trying to make sure I've said everybody's name. Richard, if I didn't, Peanut. Thank you. I will have a beer on you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you, Peanut. Thank you. $20 super chat. I have gone on Gavin McInnes twice now. SSPSS, PSSP1. I was on again this morning. I don't know when that's going to air. But, yeah, I've been on there twice. And I love the show. I'm a fan of Gavin McInnes' show. And I was excited that he would consider having me back a second time. It's awesome. Thank you, Tuber. I appreciate that. Tuebor. I will be in Lansing on June 20th at the Pro Second Amendment March at the Capitol lawn. That'll be fun. Dad, answer my FaceTime. Okay.
That'll be fun.
Okay, yes?
Hey.
Okay.
Man, look at, we got another one.
Okay. Why
I
are,
just wanted to say hello to everybody.
what did you want to say?
Hello to everyone.
Oh, okay. Hi. You can't ban this cat? Or is he still going or what?
Okay, no. I'm banning him,
Uh-huh.
and then he'll make a new account.
How fast is he at making accounts?
I don't know. He must have like 1 million accounts.
Yeah. Everybody's saying hello. Karen, no. Karen, no. I like that username.
It's driving me insane.
All right, well, keep up the good work, everybody. I'm going to try to answer some questions. All right.
Good luck. Hello, everybody.
All right, bye.
For all the super chats.
UPP, everybody, underpaid producer. Anybody got any legitimate questions that you want to ask about well-being checks? Any circumstances or any questions? Maybe I didn't cover an angle of this that you're thinking of. I'm happy to answer it. Northern Ireland. All right. Well, I'm thankful that you guys are. Yeah, Chelsea is a guy. You're right. Any other legitimate questions? Is it okay if I call them welfare checks? FuzzFam is watching. Holy crap. Well-being checks, wellness checks, welfare checks. Yes, it is okay. I call them welfare checks as well. I don't actually call them wellness checks. Check the well-being was the official term that we had. 811, check the well-being, blah, blah, blah. That was how the calls came out for me. So there's that. Welfare check would be in the report system as welfare check or well-being check. So yes, you can say that. A quick summary of what happened? A quick summary? Chelsea Manning posted a suicidal tweet. The police came and went into her house to check and make sure she was okay. Chelsea Manning, instead of saying thank you, sends all the camera footage from her security cameras to biased news media sources, who then report it and say the police are harassing her. They didn't say the word harass, but it's happening to her. And how many others it's happening to, and how many people the police kill with mental disabilities. I will say this, though. If you request a check on your neighbor, would it be a good idea to meet them? Yeah, they'll contact you. Usually dispatch is going to say, are you going to meet them outside, or can they come talk to you? You can stay at your house, and then you can talk to them. They're going to want to talk to you because they're going to have to build, like I said, that totality of the circumstances to make a decision as to whether or not this rises to the level of basically violating a person's Fourth Amendment right with the emergency exception rule. I will say this about well-being checks. Then I totally lost my train of thought. I had something brilliant. I think it was going to be very earth-shattering, and I don't remember what it is. That's what happens when I'm getting old, guys. How common is it to get false calls for wellness checks? I wouldn't say fraudulent calls, but false is very common. And the reason it's important to build that totality is because you don't want your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend calling and saying they're suicidal. They have a gun. They're gonna shoot themselves or someone else right now. You don't want to just accept one person's statement. You really need to understand the totality of the circumstances to make those decisions. And sometimes you don't have a lot of time. And what I was going to say was, they're throwing out this number of how many people killed by the police with mental disabilities. Listen, if you got a mental disability and you're robbing a convenience store, I don't have time to give you a psychological exam. If you have mental disabilities and you're running around naked with a pipe and you're hitting people in the head with it, I don't have time to sit there and ask you where the start of your mental struggles came from. That's not my job. I can't do that. We can't expect police to be able to bear the burden of the psychological issues of the world. I mean, we encounter them constantly. And yeah, sometimes you can tell someone's off, but just because they're off doesn't make them not dangerous anymore. Sometimes people who are off can be more dangerous than anyone else because their actions are unpredictable. So throwing out the numbers of how many people have encountered the police in a deadly force incident that have whatever they decided was a mental disability. I don't know what they qualify because they throw out the number, but I really don't know anything where it comes from, really what they're meaning. That's all irrelevant. Because listen, man, if you like to watch Golden Girls and then go drink a fifth of Jack and bash it over your neighbor's head, that's your thing because you're weird, or you get off to old Mickey Mouse cartoons. If you're a nut job, I don't know that going in. If I see you in the middle of the night roaming around breaking into cars, you might be crazy, you might not be. Either way, if you turn and point an object at me, like a broken bottle that you broke after you got hammered, things are going to happen. So, anyway. Golden Girls is life. All right, Officer 401 thought welfare check were someone calling to report I stole their welfare check. Yeah, that sounds about right. So let's say I have an illegal weapon or illegal drug in my jurisdiction. Is that admissible in court if a fraudulent wellness check is sent to me? Okay, in legal terms, there is what's called fruit of the poisonous tree. That means in most circumstances, if the reason for the contact was bad, everything else that follows it is bad. It might not mean that you get to keep your weapon or drugs. It just may mean that prosecution would be difficult in the circumstance. However, I will say this. If the officers are acting in line with reasonable cause, that there's good faith on their part that they're following the law and that they're doing their job, and they encounter you, and maybe on a technicality it wasn't, you might not be immune from prosecution. It honestly just depends on how it came to be. So There's everything involved from the original call to what the officers perceived and understood to what the person involved that has something illegal with them understood or whatever. So there's a lot of case by case basis. This is why we have such a court system like we have, because if it was all so cut and dry, it'd be a lot easier. All right. Let's see. How long have we been going? We got 553 people, though. 35 minutes. I feel like we're closing in, guys. I feel like I'm reaching the boring level here. So I'm looking for any quick questions. Boo, boo, boo. The Police Service of Northern Ireland. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Northern Ireland is not exactly the safest place sometimes for cops, so thank you very much. What do you do if someone reports a false welfare check and the person is not suicidal and they have no idea why you're there? Well, that's part of the investigation, right? So if you get there and you ascertain that they're not suicidal, well, then that's how you write it up. And it's very important that all the information is understood and clear and a good report is written. Because if that person does end up taking their own life, you better believe that that family is going to hold me accountable for not taking action and not taking them to the hospital, whatever it is that's available in their state, the action that they can take. But there's a lot of times where, let's say a friend says, I'm really concerned about my friend, and they'll show us all of the text messages like, I've got a gun right now, I'm just going to end it all, I love you, take care of so-and-so, tell them I love them, all I really care about is this. And then you go knock on the door and they're like, no, I didn't mean any of that. Well, you can't say that stuff to people who are going to end up calling the police. Because once the police are involved at that point with those kind of statements, there's so much liability that if they don't take action and you did mean it, your family, your friends are going to be awful upset with the police. There's a lot of liability involved in that. So, like I said, if society doesn't want police officers to have the liability, well, have it all. Take all the liability you want. But all right, if the courts have said cops are not legally required to protect you, why do welfare checks? Just be nice doing it for the community? Okay, Aaron, okay, this is a topic that I can't address long term right now in this moment because it's a bigger topic. I need to make a video on this. The notion that the police do not have a duty to protect is taken drastically out of context from one particular Supreme Court case in which that language is used regarding a very specific circumstance. Okay? There is no blanket concept legally in which the police have no obligation or duty to protect. That is a false notion. So if you believe that, all I have time for right now is to challenge you on that and just let you know that's not accurate. Okay? That's not actually what the court case was about, and it's also not what is expected or understood about the role of law enforcement. Boo, boo, boo. We do not have a mental health unit. No. We have multiple places in our jurisdiction where you can take someone to get treatment mentally. But Ladybug Lantern says, what if they aren't saying those things and it's like a swatting call? Well, that's officers have to be able to determine that. I mean, that's part of the normal course of investigations for police officers. So that's what happens. All right. All right, guys, that's it for me tonight on the live stream. I appreciate you all hanging out with me. I hope a couple things. One, you understand that I'm trying to be objective and I'm not just defending the cops because I defend cops. Two, that AJ Plus and Intercept are ridiculously terrible sources to get your news from because it's completely slanted and biased and poor reporting. And three, I hope you learned something about the police law enforcement role in wellness checks, welfare checks, well-being checks, whatever you want to call them. And I also hope you learned that Chelsea Manning can be a turd. All right, that's it. See ya.